Hey, Elarica, hi, how are
No,
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, been waiting for this for a long time. Congratulations that your show really hit. It really resonated. I was so happy to see it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very excited about everything.
When you're jumping back into it, how does it feel for you? And what have been some of those scenes that have really felt like you're just, putting it all on display?
I mean, it's nice of you to say that, and I think that's very correct in so many ways because last season, the vulnerability that I had to have for Autumn during this very difficult time is always present. Whereas
Mhm.
now it's like there's this more of it is the undercurrent that is driving this bossy kind of movement. But actually, I feel like in the big explosive moments when she's being challenged by Uncle Clifford, in those moments where she's being called out, are the most revealing of this like person inside that just wants to be loved and just trying to do something nice. And those for me are the moments where I'm like, okay, this is where you're seeing some of the Autumn from last season, because a lot has changed. She's
Yeah.
this big boss. It's straight away from the beginning. Everything's different. She's got great clothes, great makeup, and now she runs the club. And so when do we see those moments that we became accustomed to last season? I think those explosive big moments are when you see it the most.
Yeah. You even wear the mask like a boss too.
Oh, well, thank you. Oh God, yeah. I mean, doing that on set, all the lines, all of it's difficult space to be in. But thank goodness for ADR.
Yeah. I'm so fascinated because in Chuckalisa, you're the boss. You are a boss. You're a great boss too this season, but that doesn't mean that it's, you're set. You have to answer to everybody, and then also you have to make the decision to know, in as it says, what you're worth. So
Yeah.
what's that like for you? How does that feel now?
I mean, I really feel for Autumn at this point because she has stepped into these shoes and she feels comfortable there because she's being more of who she actually is, which is Hailey Colton, this woman who was, in the accountancy kind of field, and she's worked with money and she's been heads of, big situations where they dealt with a lot, a lot of money, big people, big clients. And now she's in a space where she owns this place. She's now in charge, but she's in charge of people who saw her at her lowest, right?
Mm.
So that's not always the best thing for relationships. That doesn't always work. So having to answer to the dancers, which are normal, someone coming in to be the boss of a place, if you're going to be the boss of the Pink, everybody has an opinion there. That's their home. It's more than work for them. It's a space that they've lived in for so long, and so you can't just come in and put your ideas out there. It doesn't work. But I think the biggest thing of it all is Uncle Clifford. This is her place. It doesn't matter how much Autumn owns. This is a part of her history. It's been in her family. It's a part of, her growing up. She was there as a kid. So anyone can come and say they own a percentage, but what does that mean? The only thing is that Autumn has power now. So she
Yeah.
can do with it what she likes. And that's where there's rocky ground.
You have an incredible scene in which, Autumn misses the life being a dancer. And you go back, you're sort of reacquainting yourself with the pole to dance again.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Autumn misses, or Hailey misses, the life? Do you think she misses the dance? How do
Oh,
you feel? How does it feel for you to sort of go back to that?
you know, we're both in the same boat, me and Autumn, because Autumn misses it. She said it before, and so do I. I knew as soon as I got the script, it was going to be a lot less dancing. I didn't get to do a huge amount last season, but I enjoyed it so much, and the training was great that I thought, okay, another season to learn some stuff. As hard as it is, because you're dancing and you're acting, you're on set a lot of the time, so it's definitely difficult, but I like a challenge. So this season, seeing this scene, I was like, oh yes, at least there's something. I did ask about 4 times, can she just have one moment, just one moment, can she, you know? So I'm grateful that I got to do that, and I got to train again, do some more training with Jamaica Craft, who's amazing. She does all of the choreography for the show. And that was just fun, and I loved that she had that moment, because she does have this like thing that draws her to the pole. It's a moment of freedom and femininity, and she can just step outside of her everyday and just swing and feel like everything's okay.
So episode 4 in particular is pretty devastating. I mean, it's hard. It's tough to go back to revisit. You know, June 2020 was really like such a low point. And, you know, on your show in the first season, it was kind of timeless. And now you're within this particular time. It's, you know, deep in the pandemic. It's really the, you know, the worst time for police violence, for protests. And it hits every single character in that episode. And even there's a coda at the end about how devastating the year was. What's it like to go back to relive it?
Honestly, I don't I don't particularly feel like I've come out of living in that space. You know, we filmed it last year, during the pandemic. And so I went from being cooped up at home to trying so hard to fly into America, which, you know, took a lot of like persuading to get me in, to then film on a set where everything was very strict with masks and all of that, and you know, people were still sick, and friends and family were still getting sick, and some were in the hospital for me as well. So you know, I watched the screeners recently, and I you know, episode 4, it's tough because it shows how it's affected people in so many different ways, but our show wouldn't be our show if it wasn't honest. And so as much as the first season was timeless, we're moving with the times. And this time right now, this pandemic that hit the world, that everybody knows and understands, we have to show that, because where would the honesty be? Where would these relationships stay as strong as they are with the fans and the people who watch the show, if we weren't living the same reality that they are?
You're absolutely right, because your show is so honest. I really felt, you know, I feel that it's very demanding of a viewer to say, you know, well, you can, you know, look at this, but look at this as well too. Not going to shy away from it. Yeah. So what's it like for you as a performer? Maybe, you know, now that you've said that you had a chance to see the episodes, where do you feel like those moments come in? Those you know, those really honest moments, maybe the ones that were difficult to film or just felt like it was like a culmination for you. You know, what do you see as sort of that real honesty on your show? You
know what, I think it's definitely, for my life, it gave me a reminder as to relationships and how important they are, and decisions that I've made. You know, there's a lot of reflection, I think, whenever you're telling a story or you're really stepping into a character, because you can see, you know, the decision that they're making or they're about to make is a bad one before they know, right? Because we're telling a story as we move on, and so you want to change it, you want to fix it for them, but you can't. But then it makes you step back and look at your life and go, well, there's things that I can do better, or there's moments that I can change. I can stop that from happening if I make sure I take something from this situation. I'm forever learning. We all are, but I get to do that by looking at other characters and playing their mistakes and seeing how wrong it feels in the moment. So you know, the relationship with Mercedes and Autumn Night, you know, this friendship that we see, they're living together, is so exciting, and you know, they have this rapport, it's really lovely. And then, you know, this decision that feels right financially, money, power, how does that take over the important things in life, and these decisions that you make off the whim because you know that's gonna take you to exactly where you want to be, but what happens to the people around you and how does it affect them? I think there's those little intimate moments, the breakdown of that relationship, also the decisions that she makes about the pink, knowing how much Clifford, as much as there's been turmoil throughout, you know, the first season, the second season, there's a friendship and there's a love there. and that gets trampled over because of this focus on money, on power. So yeah, there's lots of those little moments throughout the season, and it definitely affected me personally and made me think, be more thoughtful of the people around you, Elarica, because you know, you have some wonderful people who care about you.
I have to know from the perspective of the show, working with Nico, because Uncle Clifford, it's you almost never know what they're gonna say, what's gonna be said, and it really runs the gamut. It's like the show. It's funny, it's serious, intimate. It's not like what's it like working with Nico and finding the dynamic?
Nico is fantastic. So amazing. I get really warm inside talking about Nico because he's the heart of the show. He really is. Uncle Clifford, I mean, she is, and what we see, but him as a person, he just keeps us all together. He keeps the morale up. It's very long days, and it's been difficult, like I said, during COVID, because we don't have that closeness anymore. But he always finds a way to do that. And then him as Uncle Clifford, it's some of my favorite moments in scenes with Clifford, because Nico's range is so vast, and this character is so embedded in who he is, and who Uncle Clifford is. It just feels so natural and so easy. It's just such a given scene partner, and then also just such an amazing character for the club. That heart exists on the outside for him as Nico, and also him as Uncle Clifford.
One thing I've always wanted to ask you: what is your process? How do you fall into this role? Like, between seasons, do you notice a difference? Is it hard for you to sort of fall back in to character? How do you prepare yourself?
There's a lot of time in between season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And so there were moments that I was like, oh damn, you have to familiarize yourself with your character. The first season, I actually wrote a diary, which is Autumn's diary, and every day I try to put something in there as Autumn, some stuff from her past, and that was something great. That was great material for me to look back on for this season. But it's like a run up. It's a run up to the show. So weeks before, that's we start prepping, and I was doing dialect beforehand and just kind of delving back in. I didn't rewatch the show. I find it, it's hard to watch yourself sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it was difficult this time around because I was stepping into shoes that I didn't fully know. This bossy woman, it was totally different. But there are those things. That diary was a huge help for me.
What has the response been like for you?
Honestly, our fans are so invested. I couldn't ask for better fans. Although a bit impatient.
Yeah.
I know it took a long time. The response has been great for the show, even the excitement leading up to, the premiere that's coming. Everybody is in high spirits just about it, and it's buzzy now. But there was months and months of why and when and what's going on, and I'm so upset, and when is it coming? And there's only so many times you can answer that question, and we just wanted to get it as quickly as we possibly could out there so that everybody could see it. And I'm glad that we're nearly there. Well, we're here basically.
Yeah, still coming up. I sometimes forget that we've had a chance to experience it, but everyone else will.
Some people are so jealous, but they'll get it soon.
So based on what you talked about, this is still fascinating to me because, Uncle Clifford sort of calls you by a number of names. What is your, are you Autumn Night? Are you Hailey Colton? Is there a third, like, what do you even call the character now?
Man, I mean, she is Hailey Colton. That is her government name. But she's Autumn Night. Yeah. And she's Lakeisha Savage, because these are all people who have been a part of her journey. You know, the first season, it was a cover up. All that Hailey wanted to do was not be Hailey for this amount of time. She couldn't be, because it was dangerous, because it wasn't, you know, it wasn't safe in the place that she was in, and it wasn't going to help her move forward. So she had to be someone else. So Autumn Night came along, Lakeisha Savage. I mean, you saw all of those IDs, the other extra names, the Summer's Eve and everything else that Uncle Clifford comes up with is just the wonderfulness of Uncle Clifford's mind in those moments where she is being completely shady. But it's so nice to have so many aliases. I get it all the time. Those are my messages. Like, it's a new name every time.
Yeah. And can you preview, I mean, from what I've seen of the season, I'm every episode still feels like such a visceral experience, like a gut punch of an episode. Can you preview a little bit, maybe from what I've seen and what's coming up too?
I mean, isn't that good though?
Yeah.
You want to watch something and get gut punched every time?
Well, you know, it's tough for me because, you know, when I get the screeners, my inclination is to want to watch them all at once, but I can't do that for the show.
I know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And especially with, you know, the pandemic, I'm just going to tell everyone to get ready. One episode, whenever it comes out, is enough. Yes, you can watch the entire show because you love it. But actually what we do is we put things out there for them to be thought about, you know. We're like I said, Katori is always writing from real experience and honesty. So give it a moment, let it marinate. See what these characters are going through. It always, every episode that we've done on this show has sparked conversation. This season, 10 times over, because we're dealing with this real life situation, and we're also seeing these characters outside of their space that we've seen them in, which is the pink. So I think it's great. I think it's great to have that, because what's the point of having a platform if you're not sparking conversation or you know, allowing people to grow in themselves because they're having these conversations, because they're seeing things that, you know, make them feel a certain kind of way. So I just think everyone needs to take their time and enjoy what we have coming.
Yeah. Quickly want to ask you just one more thing. Have you had a response that's really surprised you? Have you had an encounter, like a fan encounter or something where somebody has reached out to you? Have you had like a response that's really affected you?
You know what? A lot of people watch this show. So I think I was surprised as to some of the people, and some of, you know, some people who are in great positions of power in their industry, lots of actors and musicians and stuff reaching out to say, you know, congratulations. And I feel like that's a great thing, because we should all, you know, encourage each other in what we do. And when you see somebody doing something that you love and you enjoy, you should tell them, because it's only going to help them moving forward. It's only going to make, you know, solidify that what they're doing is changing changing the world, but, you know, telling these stories where people, you know, can relate and can really enjoy what they're doing. It's great. And I, you know, those are probably the encounters that I'm like, this is definitely moving, this is shaking, and this is changing, you know, the way that people look at the world and the way they look at me. If you like what I do, that's incredible, and enough to tell me. I'm very grateful for that.
Well, I'm grateful that I got a chance to talk with you once, but now twice. It's like, yeah, all the gratefulness for it. And I just wanted to thank you.
I'll see you again soon.
Yeah, I'll see. Yeah, hopefully for season 3.
Yes, fingers crossed. We don't know, but we all have our fingers crossed.
We're hoping. Thank you again. Thank you so much, Elarica.
Thank you so much. You take care. Lovely to see you.